Do I secretly or not so secretly write? I think some of you know the answer to that question. Please join me for this very fun Readers Who Write, Secretly or Not, tag. This is the Do You Secretly or Not So Secretly Write Booktube tag. This was created by Marlicia's Meanderings. Thank you, Marlicia, for this very fun tag. And I was tagged by the lovely Melinda at A Web of Stories. Thanks, Melinda, for tagging me. This simple tag has 10 prompts, and it is a lot of fun. I will just get started. I will be looking down at some notes sometimes. Are you a reader who secretly or not so secretly writes? Well, not so secretly. I am a reader who also writes. And I have mentioned my writing a little bit. While I do mention it occasionally, I don't think of myself as an author tuber. I'm currently working on my first novel, the first draft of my first novel. But I've been writing one way, shape, or fashion for a long time. It began scribbling poetry in high school, which no one ever saw. I did not keep a lot of that. I wrote poetry and short fiction in my 20s, primarily for enjoyment, but I also did send out stories and poetry for hopeful publication. I was published in a few very obscure publications in the States. This is probably taking too long to share, but fast forward, I began blogging for many years, which I do consider writing, and I also write and publish knitting patterns, which I also consider writing. So I've been focusing primarily on poetry and novels, or at least my first novel. My aim is to publish a novel or more than one. Hopefully, I hope so. So we'll see how all of that goes. I set myself little writing challenges to keep working, to keep getting better. Novel November is happening, so I want to really dig into working toward finishing the first draft of my first novel. If you are, or even if you aren't, and are you only imagining, would you prefer to write fiction or nonfiction or both? I enjoy writing both fiction and nonfiction. Both offer the brain different things to work on, different ways of expression. I write a lot of poetry, and that is an essential genre for me and my personal expression. I read a lot of poetry as well. Question number 3. Do you think reading helps or hinders your writing? Why or why not? Reading definitely helps, and I find reading over many genres also helps. Reading too much of one genre, I find it kind of clogs up my thinking. I don't know how else to describe that, but variety offers my mind more and different things to chew on, which in turn becomes, I think, better fodder for different ideas and a variety of writing flow. Question number 4. What genres of nonfiction would you choose to write? Histories, social commentary, memoirs, science, biographies, or something else? Why would you choose that genre? I think I would like to write a book that might fit in the genre of spirituality. I don't often talk much about spirituality here, but it is something that is very important to me. I practice an earth-based spirituality that also honors my Catholic upbringing. It has a very Celtic leaning and a mix of the Wheel of the Year concepts. As I say, I don't talk about spirituality very much in online spaces, having been burnt by that before, but I've often wanted to create a book about my experiences living with this kind of spirituality. Maybe I still will. Question number 5. What fiction genres would you choose to write? Fantasy, mystery, historical fiction, sci-fi fantasy, science fiction, something else, or maybe a combination? The novel I'm working on right now is fantasy fiction. It has a 17th century inspired setting, and there is magic, an element of mystery. There's also a romantic subplot. I would actually like to try writing something that is a combination of fantasy and historical fiction. I have a Regency time period setting in mind for something I would like to write. We shall see. I have so many story ideas, and I come up with new ones each week. It's a lot. Oh, a lot of writing ahead for me. Question number 6. Who would you name as your influences in writing? Wow, this one is a little difficult. I read a lot, and there are many writers I greatly enjoy their work over many genres. I'm a multi-genre reader, you know. I would say, though, that it is the poets that influence me the most. Mary Oliver, Jane Hirschfield, David White, Wendell Berry, to name just a few. They come to mind right away. I find the language of poetry hits harder. It makes my heart work more, which in turn I find makes my brain work more to create in my own unique way. Question number 7. Do you think a person should stick to writing what one knows, or especially in cases of speculative fiction, do you think a person can make it all up as long as one stays consistent with the story? I think that there can be benefits in employing both, writing about what one knows and exploring different territory. Nonfiction is great for exploring a subject, really digging into a topic, really doing some research. Writing about what one knows or has experienced is always a great starting point, and sharing our experiences, our personal stories, helps us all to connect to each other and better understand each other, which is really the great beauty of writing what we know from our own starting point. Question number 8. Do you feel that profanity, graphic violence, and adult situations are overused in writing? Yes, I think there is a lot overused, overdone in so many books these days. There's just too much profanity, too much violence, adult situations. I find that if these are added to a story in some specific way, it can be there, but sparingly. There needs to be a point to it being there. There has to be a reason. And if the story is bolstered with too much profanity, I begin to wonder what the purpose of the story is when there is no real dialogue. What is happening? It's the same with adult situations. And of course, I'm thinking especially like a lot of graphic sex. Sex is fine in a story, but it can't be all that the story is about. And when that takes place, there has to be some true meaning for that to be there. When you read my novels one day, there won't be a lot of those in there, just so you know. Question number 9. Do you feel that books should have warnings a la movies? so readers know what to expect, why or why not. Yes, to a certain extent, yes. Trigger warnings should be identified and shared on review sources, things like Storygraph, Goodreads, and elsewhere. It is also possible to check on such things on places like I believe it's triggercheck.org and triggerwarnings.com. There are many places, and some authors even issue these things, the triggers, on their websites. I think the more openness about the content of books, like with films, the better. It helps make people to make more informed choices about what they choose for their reading or not. I just think it's a responsible way to do things. And number 10, question number 10, not really a question, tag others. And for this, I'm going to tag Lorica, my friend Lorica Brotherton, Philip at A Poet Reads to Write, and Taryn at Inkspills. All of these friends, I know that they are writers too, and Sue Jackson. Although I think Sue has maybe already done this tag. If you have done this tag before, I'm sorry if I'm not keeping up very well. I am woefully behind on all the tags. I'm sorry about that. This was so much fun, and if you are a reader who also writes, please join in the comments. Please join in on the fun of this. If you are a secret writer, please share your secrets. Please, your secret is safe with me here. Thank you for joining me today for this very fun tag. And thank you, Marlisha. This really was a great one. And thanks again, Melinda, for tagging me. Until next time, I wish you all, as always, happy reading and many blessings. I will see you again here very soon.